Greetings loyal subscribers and honoured guests. For this episode of Cyberpunk September, I am looking at Anno Mutationem, which I originally bought for the PS4 a few months ago, but then ended up getting as part of a Steam bundle recently, so I actually ended up playing through it entirely on the Steam Deck. It is fully verified there and runs perfectly, so if after watching this I have managed to pique your interest, you shouldn't hesitate in grabbing a copy for yourself. The game takes place in the far future, though as far as I'm aware, the exact year is never actually specified. The world is recovering from the Mechanica virus, which attacks the human body and gradually changes it from being biological to machine-like. It can fully change a person, or it can just affect part of them, and it is extremely painful. Some of the poorest citizens who have been affected by the virus now live rough on the streets or in underground communities that have hidden themselves away from prying eyes. You take control of Anne Flores, a girl who works for an agency that assists the police in various cases, such as helping them solve a strange murder during the early stages of the game. She is backed up by her colleague and friend Ayane, who can't be with Anne in person due to suffering from some unspecified illness that keeps her inside and mostly in a wheelchair. I suspect that this is the very same Mechanica virus, but the game doesn't actually confirm that unless I missed it in a text log. So Ayane uses a drone that projects a holographic image of herself in order to accompany Anne throughout the story. Anne also has health issues of her own. She suffers from occasional bouts of something called entanglitis, which causes her to weaken and collapse after intense physical activity. At the request of her adopted father, who is a robot, she visits her local doctor, Alan, who comes across as being more than a bit shady. Apparently, as part of her cure for entanglitis, she is equipped with something called a Grom's device, which monitors her vitals and allows her to upgrade her combat abilities. Anno Mutationem is chiefly an action RPG, which makes use of the HD-2D art style that games like Octopath Traveler, Eiyuden Chronicles and Live Alive have made popular over the last few years. Personally, I love how games that make use of this look. The pixel art characters always really pop against the higher resolution polygonal backgrounds. It really lends itself well to the futuristic cyberpunk genre as well, with great use of neon colours and particle effects. The gameplay is split into two different styles. Areas where you can freely roam around, talk to people, buy things and take on quests, and combat sections that are locked on a 2D plane. The combat feels really good and it feels natural to dodge through attacks and quickly shift between heavy attacks that are effective against armoured enemies, fast attacks, and ranged attacks which are useful for taking down flying drones, for example. As the story advances, you will gain access to different types of swords such as twin blades and other ranged options including heat-seeking missiles and a powerful laser that needs to be charged up for a few seconds. There's also a skill tree and the skills on it have to be bought with two different currencies. You have the blue Grom bits that are dropped by standard enemies and are used to upgrade your various abilities, such as making your heavy attacks do more damage. And then there are the red Groms, which are only given by bosses and are used to improve your character's stats, such as more health or better defense. By the end of the game I hadn't quite maxed out all of the abilities on the tree, but I also hadn't found and finished every single side quest, so I expect that you could max everything out if you wanted to. So the visuals and the combat are the two key areas where the game really shines, but it's not all great. I get the feeling that something has been lost in translation from the original Chinese over to English, because parts of the story are not really very well explained or are confusing. I found this affected more of the side quests than the main story really, and even at its worst, it doesn't mean the game is bad, just not quite as polished as it could be. The voice acting is all very well delivered by the English cast, though Ayane can be a tad overbearing at times. A great synthwave score is really a must for a good cyberpunk game, and thankfully Thinking Stars have managed to deliver here as well. There were also one or two platforming sections that I found to be quite annoying to get past, although I discovered that this was at least partly on me for not figuring things out properly. I'm thinking of a section that requires you to navigate past lasers in particular, with you getting sent back to the beginning if you get hit. It became rather infuriating, but through trial and error I did get past it. The game takes roughly 12 hours to beat, which goes up to about 15 hours if you want to seek out and complete all of the side quests. This felt just about right for the game. Any longer and I may have started to tire of it. By ending when it did, the game left me wanting more, which is good because the story sets up a potential sequel or some DLC. Speaking of the ending, near the end of the game you have to make a choice which does result in the game finishing in a slightly different way. After the credits, a new option appears on the main menu which will return you to the game before you made the choice, so it's easy to make the other choice and see how things would have turned out differently. I appreciate that the developers made it easy to go back and you weren't expected to play through the whole thing a second time. When the game is at full price it goes for just under 20 quid, which I actually think is pretty decent value for money, but it does go on sale from time to time, and as I said at the start of this review, it has started appearing in Steam bundles, so if that's where you want to play the game, it may be worth waiting for one to appear. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with Anno Mutationem and romped through it from start to finish in less than a week. I think it's definitely worth picking up, and so it earns an RMGB TV recommended award. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please consider leaving a like, dropping a comment, subscribing to the channel, or sharing on social media. In the next episode, I will be looking at Cyberpunk. See you in the Matrix, and in the meantime, take care.